in and an out when you pipe it, right? Has anybody hooked a water softener up backwards?
What happens?
Not yet.
It's okay to do this.
Not yet.
Let me tell you something. If you ever hook a water softener up backwards, you're only going to do it once in your lifetime. Always pay attention, because when you face our unit, the in is on the right and the out is on the left. Okay? If you hook it up backwards, what you're going to do, you're going to take all that residue inside that tank and you're going to fill those lines up. And you're going to be there for hours, draining, going through all the screens on the washing machine, the faucets, and so forth. So always pay attention to that, number one. Okay? Drain lines. You can run our drain line. You can push it up 15 feet if you want. You can run it 40 feet, doesn't matter on your horizontal. The brine tank. You can take the brine tank and you can put that out the garage if you want. It's becoming a common question, right? People don't want to haul salt balls there anymore. So you can run our brine line about 30, 35 feet. Okay? This little device on the side of the valve is called the injector assembly. And guys, when it comes to troubleshooting, you should not have to go beyond this. Okay? The only time you should have to go beyond that is if you have water leaking to the drain when it's in the service position. Okay? Then the piston and steel kit on the inside are scored and replaced. You're talking 15, 20-year-old. Okay? Let me explain what this does. This is called the injector assembly. So you have a brine valve. This brine valve pushes down here in the brine refill cycle and pushes water to the brine tank. If for some reason you don't have water going to the brine tank, if you unscrew this brass fitting right here and look at the back of it, there's a washer in it. Everything we do is time and flow control washers. Time and flow control washers. So there's a rubber washer in the back side of this thing. It's a quarter inch in diameter with a pinhole. It's either going to be quarter gallon per minute or half. Once in a while, a resin bead may get stuck in there, and you go to the brine refill cycle, you don't have water going to the brine tank, unscrew that, pull through it, you're going to be good. Okay? Make sense? Here's your drain line. Okay? If you were to unscrew this retainer and pull that rubber washer out, about the size of a nickel, about 1/8 of an inch hole in it. Okay? If you don't have water going to the drain during backwash, we get valves that come back and there's chunks of solder in there. Yeah, we do see it. But more importantly, use a good drain line. What are you guys using for drain line, Jeff?
Packs.
Okay, good. What I'm going to say is stay away from that clear, soft condensing hose because it collapses, right? And then we don't backwash properly. We don't drive brine water properly. That's all. The next thing I want to show you is underneath this injector cap is a screen and a two-part injector. The injector is on the outside of it, called the nozzle. The throw it is behind it. Both of them unscrew with a standard screwdriver. So, if you go to the brine draw cycle, where we're supposed to be pulling the salt water out of that brine tank, if you do not have a draw, chances are your screen or injector is dirty. Okay? So, when I go out to a job site, the first place I go is right to the brine tank. That brine tank will tell you a story. Take that cover off and look. Is the salt or the water above the salt? I don't care. Is it below the salt? I want to make sure there's water in there, right? Is the water that much above the salt? I really don't care. If the water's up to the overflow, now we got a problem. Right? The water level in the brine tank will fluctuate based on the amount of salt you have in the tank, water pressure, and water temperature. As long as you have water in that tank, you're good. But if it's up to the overflow, chances are fitting, pull it off, go to the brine draw cycle, and see if I got suction. If I got suction at the brine tank, I know I'm good here, right? But if I don't have suction down here, chances are, a lot of times that'll come from crappy salt in the brine. Right, so you can, there again, take that cover off, oh, if I got dirt and scum that smells like dead fish, flag. If these injectors, look at this, they're not very big. It doesn't take much for that hole to get clogged from sediment and salt. Okay? Pretty simple. So recap, does it draw brine, overflowing brine tank, plug injector to the screen. Don't have water in the brine tank, brine it up. Drain line, you're already using PEX, that's a good thing. So how do we create that raw during the brine draw cycle? When it's in the BD, the brine draw cycle, which is an hour cycle, we're pushing water to drain about a quarter throttle. That's what creates the vacuum for us to pull the salt water out. There again, pay attention. If you don't have water going to the drain, chances are drain line's plugged up, it's not the wrong line. Last but least, the fittings that are supplied here. Okay? They're going to be a push-on fitting. You don't have, we're already using PEX anyway. You don't have to crank those down. You don't need to load them up with tape dough and bottom those things down. There's no pressure on them. There's water running out of the garden hose. Spin them in with your fingers. Okay? That's all you got to do. We get a ton of them that come back where they'll bear them down. They'll crack the injector. You'll put it in. You'll get a call 6 weeks later and they got a flooding basin. It will eventually crack. It may not be when you're there, but you don't need to take that. Okay? All right, 10 to 9, I am done.
You done? I have a quick question for you.
Yeah.
On your carbon filters, is there a certain amount of time you have to soak that carbon before turning it to surface?
Good question. Carbon is like a sponge, right? It needs time to absorb. 10, 15 minutes. Yeah, what I would do, I'm start, go to the rapid rinse cycle, or just open up a valve, put up the water filling tank, let it sit before you backwash.
Okay.
Softer you can backwash right away. Everything else you can't. I'm glad you brought that up. Because if you backwash the carbon right away, you may throw some carbon up in the valve, you may score the distance. So, glad you brought that up. Cool. Yeah.
Is there a certain type of salt you prefer to the softener? I let like coarse salt. I'm just wondering what you prefer as a softener.
We've done a lot of testing on salt over the years. We really have. Okay, I love it. Menard salt is 99.9%. We tell you that 0.9 is village. Okay. A rule of thumb is you want that brine tank crystal clear and clean water. You'll get that from the Morton System Saver or Cargill and Yellow Bags. Okay? But everybody throws solar in there. Everybody throws rock salt because it's cheaper. Well, if you think about that, that has more sediment in it. You put that brine tank in dissolve, where does all the sediment go? Right? Tank. That's where we draw the water from. The tank. Exactly. So now people would argue, well, the salt pellet has a binding agent in it to hold it in pellet form. If you just continue to add your Morton System Saver salt on top of it, eventually you're going to get what's called a hard can at the bottom. That's going to be mush. Okay? It happens. Best thing you can do to eliminate that is let that salt level get down to about an inch. You may have that much water above it, that much water, doesn't matter. Just take an old stick and stir it up. It just breaks down that binding agent, so when you add salt to it, you eliminate that hard can. So it's half a dozen one way, six to the other. What do you want to do? Do you want to just keep adding the solar salt and run the salt with rock salt and run the potential problem of injector plug? Or do you want to do it the right way and use a good salt? And if you can convince a homeowner by saying, look, that water is actually coming in contact with your drinking water. Go right number generates. So use a good salt.
So you would, when do you recommend a bath salt? Because you just said that, should it get all the way until there's no salt anymore?
Say that again?
When should you add salt?
Oh, good question.
Because I've had differing opinions from people.
The worst thing consumers can do when they think about they need to fill that brine tank up with salt. You don't need to. You send a softener regenerates, it's going to use anywhere from 9 to 12 pounds of salt. It's a cup. Full salt, right? Not stir it up at night to make the park system safe.
So you would let it get to about 10 feet before you rebuild it?
The practice, so practice. Okay, good questions, guys. This help? You learning it?